Hi everyone, my name is Nidal Al-Relami and this is the Peace Lab podcast. And for today's episode, we will be talking about self-trust. Inner peace begins with believing in yourself and embracing who you truly are, your authentic self. So much of inner peace and what we teach at Peace Lab, which is a full range of different inner peace modalities, starts with who you are. Inner peace really comes down to who you were as a child, what your essence was. Were you a playful kid? Were you funny and silly, extremely artistic, communicative? What are the things when you think about who you were as a child that had no care in the world, who was super spontaneous and not programmed by the environment or society, and just really a present child that was fully attuned to their environment? That is one way of thinking about your authentic self and your essence. And so today I wanted to speak to you about self-trust because it's a theme that's been coming up in the last 2 weeks for me. And every single time I'm going through this journey of entrepreneurship and thinking about ways to help share my learnings from my own inner peace journey. Whatever themes I'm going through and processing, this is what I would like to share with the community. Part of entrepreneurship and building something new, such as Peace Lab, has a lot to do with self-trust. Inner peace, like I mentioned, is really your authentic state of being, who you are truly at your core, what your true essence is. And another way of thinking about it is it's your whole self, the part of you that is completely integrated and not fragmented and scattered by the mind or things that you have to do on your to-do list. When you go about your day, I want you to feel grounded and whole and fully present in the moment. So all of you is there and you are able to act in a clear way that signifies inner peace and tranquility and inner harmony and union with yourself. So your whole self is the part of you that isn't fragmented or pulled in many different directions. This theme of self-trust has really made itself known this week, and part of it is because when you start to build something for yourself or you have a new idea, start a creative project, initially the idea feels very euphoric and you see this like whole fantasy of the different ways it could go, and you start to dream about the actual manifestation of the idea, the start of the creative endeavor. But along the journey, what comes to mind is this development of self-trust. And self-trust is really such a vital part of inner peace and being in complete wholeness with yourself and acting from a place of authenticity and inner alignment. And it's one way that we can measure our inner peace. But today I really wanted to dive into self-trust and all of the different layers of it and how it manifests and shows up. As I mentioned, so much of your inner peace and your groundedness, mindfulness, wholeness in your being starts from believing in yourself. It starts from having self-trust and believing in who you are and what you're capable of doing. And that is how you carry your idea, your creative project, your desire into action, into living out into the world and actually being manifested. Self-trust allows you to feel wholeness within yourself and to feel in union. So you're not fragmented and pulled in many different directions. And wholeness is when you are really connected to yourself and aware of what you stand for, clear on your boundaries, goals, and your purpose. And cultivating this connection with yourself, this divine union within yourself, is one of the most important skills that you can develop for so many reasons. And I'll get deeper into that for today's episode, but we're talking about self-trust, and it's really tied into taking action, self-respect, preserving your soul and feeling in alignment with the creator, God, your divine union, or just having some kind of connection to nature and those around you and your environment. I use God, the creator, to talk about this oneness with all things around me. And for you, if you are agnostic, think of it as nature and oneness. But for me, it's really about understanding this is what God is in my eyes. And God is everything. It's what you see, it's what you feel, it's what you taste, it's the environment around you, it's nature. And it's always coming back to yourself and away from the fragmented parts of you, the scattering of the mind. And that is really what God is. So, what is self trust? According to this article by Very Well Mind, I looked at the definition to give it to you for this podcast, and I will put it in the show notes. But self trust is essential for making decisions, relying on your instincts, addressing needs, and seizing opportunities. And the clinical psychologist that wrote this article about self trust, Sabrina Romanhoff, identifies this fear of making wrong choices and past negative experiences as key reasons for self-doubt to emerge. And this lack of self-trust can lead to mental and physical and health issues, second-guessing yourself, dependency on other people's opinions, and it really takes you away from building and creating in the world if you're constantly having to figure out if you're making the right decisions and caught in your head about anxiety and second guessing yourself. We're really here to talk about how to rebuild self-trust on this episode, and it's vital because you need to be able to tune into your own needs, your own boundaries, and your own goals. And by integrating this energy of self-trust, you are able to really be proactive and build something and take your creativity from idea all the way till manifestation. And that's what we're talking about here. So it's a really vital component, and even for your inner peace and your inner harmony. One of the reasons why I chose this topic today about self-trust is because so much of the entrepreneurship journey is believing in yourself and trusting your own decision making and your own agency. And a few weeks ago, having the role as the founder, you don't really have a boss telling you what you need to do, what your KPIs are, what's the next steps, the plan to build. And I have to wake up every single day and figure out the plan and make a decision and push Peace Lab forward so it's sustainable and can live here for you and can actually develop a community. And I was getting caught in my head way too much in the last 2 weeks. I was feeling some bit of burnout, but it wasn't burnout because I had been overworking. It wasn't burnout because, I was doing too much. Honestly, it was burnout because of overthinking and being in the mind and not in the creative flow. And it has to do with my self-trust. And I think, being human, these emotions come up and they ebb and flow into your life. And you always have to remember to give yourself self-compassion and self-love, even if you don't know the next steps, even if you are frightened, if you are doubting yourself. That is how you maintain self-trust, because it's this inner voice and this inner dialogue where you're speaking to yourself in a kind and compassionate way, telling yourself, hey, it's okay if you don't know if this decision is going to be right or wrong, but I believe in you and I believe this is the next step, and we're going to be okay if we have to pivot and figure out the next things. It's extremely crucial to strengthen and develop within yourself. Developing and strengthening your self-trust and your self-compassion, your self-love, and creating a safe space for your inner world to feel free to express itself emotionally and have a place where you can experience doubt and come back to rest when you don't have the right answer, when you don't have the answers at the moment, or you need to know how to pivot. Coming back to this home, which is your body and yourself, is really important. So you want to make your inner dialogue a safe place to go back to. Self-trust and a lack of it can show up in different ways. It could show up in very subtle ways. Like you could notice that you're frequently second guessing yourself. You're constantly having to ask permission or ask your friends for their opinion if you should wear a certain outfit, if you should go out tonight, if you should do something with your business. These little subtle ways where we think it's very harmless are a first indicator of second guessing yourself. It's okay to ask for opinions. It's okay to seek for other people to help nurture your ideas and to bounce ideas off of. But at the end of the day, you need to build belief in yourself that your decisions are strong enough and able to carry you forward. Um, and then also another way that self-trust can show itself subtly is that you avoid taking action, right? You say like, I have this crazy project that I want to do. It's going to involve a filmmaker, a photographer. I'm going to need all of these things, but I really see it playing it out and I want to do it in October. And you have this goal in mind, but you wake up the next day and a lot of self-doubt comes through to you, or you talk about the idea to many people and everybody's telling you, oh, it's going to be expensive, like you're not going to be able to do it in a short amount of time, it might be a wrong decision, whatever it is, like you start to second guess yourself and then the idea dies. And this is really important to take notice of because we need to create some kind of awareness to protect our ideas and our desires and start to train this muscle in us to make those decisions on our own. Self-trust really is about honoring yourself regardless of your mistakes, regardless of the setbacks, regardless of the times you have to pivot, regardless of any regrets that come up or any challenges that come up day to day. It's really about when something like that happens to you, you're able to say, hey, I got your back. I trust in you no matter what, and practice being kinder to yourself because the only person that truly knows what we desire and knows what we need and sets the tone for how other people treat us is you. And you do it to yourself by self-compassion and self-loving words and respecting your ideas and respecting yourself and having the discipline. And we'll get into that, but it's really about you first as an individual, taking care of yourself and having responsibility over you and your dreams. That's really what Peace Lab is doing. It's showing inner peace modalities to help us get to a place where we have more faith and belief in ourselves and what we can do in the world, but also to help us be inspired to take that action, to take that initiative and really continue that journey of building and creating out into the world, even on those days where we feel stressed out, overwhelmed, or are losing a little bit of hope or faith in what we are building. Because this healing journey and coming back to our and remembering God, even or remembering our oneness with nature, or remembering what our purpose is in this life is always going to ebb and flow. But that's the whole point. That's the whole point of being on this journey as a human being, is to constantly go back into remembering who we actually are and to get rid of all of the fluff in between that tries to steer us away from being more like the creator, being more of these principles of God, which are giving and creating rather than, taking out of narcissistic need or selfishly trying to hoard and be greedy of everything. We're supposed to be here to give and create out into the world, and we have to constantly remember that. And it's not that we are all intentionally, or it's not that some of us are intentionally not choosing to give and create in the world. It's that the ego holds on to negative belief systems, holds on to try to protect ourselves. And so we end up blaming people, we end up self-sabotaging, we end up believing all of these negative things about ourselves in order to protect ourselves from getting hurt. But what we really are here to do is to take uh, these modalities of inner peace and help us gradually keep up the momentum and keep going each day, living in this expression of the creator, living in expression of giving and being of service and finding our purpose. And there's so many things I can talk to just about that, but I chose here today to ground us in self-trust, so I'll try to stay on topic. Self-trust is that inner peace because it allows us to feel whole, complete, and in union with all of creation. And it allows us to speak and act from a place of this inner authority and this inner knowing that I have got my back. And from this deep place within, if you're like, I have got my back and I know that I can rely on myself and I can be accountable to govern and rule my life as my own individual being, that gives you more spontaneity to act freely without worrying so much about what other people are thinking about you, whether it's a wrong or right answer, or whether you need to go and seek authority figures to tell you if that's the correct step for you. Right? We want to come to a place of complete freedom. And freedom, our free will to act and be spontaneous, comes from trusting yourself, trusting your authority, trusting yourself to guide you into the world and for you to create and to make the plan, and trusting yourself that you're going to follow through with what you say you're going to do. And this inner authority is not arrogant. It's not saying that I know better than experts, or that I'm not going to look into research or be part of community to help me and educate me, and I'm not curious to different types of learnings and understandings. This is not what it's talking about. This inner authority is, first of all, it's humble and it's contained and it's leading you forward each and every day. It's the one that's telling you to go to the gym, read that book, educate yourself, take that chance to get that public speaking role, or take that chance to follow through with your idea. That is your inner authority. And if we keep on giving that power away to other people to lead us, then we will never be in freedom. We are just thinking that we are living in free will because of our decision to trust somebody else with our personal power. But that's not what we are here to do. We are here to really be whole, autonomous beings that take responsibility and accountability for our lives and what we are here to do in this world. It really comes from a humble place also, because when you experience a setback or a mistake, you can humbly tell yourself, hey, that's okay. I didn't know, and now I know, and I have the wisdom, and I move forward this way. But we are so afraid of that responsibility to even have to go through a moment where we mess up, or even go through a moment where we're entrusted to make decisions for our own lives. I don't know who I'm speaking to right now. This is just what's channeling through to me right now. But really, to cultivate self-trust is to be active and observant and present in our own lives. And it's extremely important. Some of the ways that you can see where you trust yourself is, one, you take action with clarity and confidence. You have the goal to finish the painting and you're really busy, but every week you spend 3 days on your painting to get it into the gallery that you want it to go to start your career as an artist, even if you have other things. It's believing the path that you set forward, okay? And believing that your dreams can actually happen for you. Trust is synonymous with faith, right? When I talk about self-trust, I am talking about, in my own way, this is how I have a relationship with God, how I feel connected to the Creator. Because when I have trust in myself, I'm giving my anxieties, my fears, my doubts to God to handle, and I'm just here to be the Creator, to be the fullest expression of the Creator, and to spread the light and the love and creation. I notice now that when I have those negative beliefs that come up, doubt or fear, I know that it's coming from a different place that's not God. Because God is the light and God is creation. It's creation because we have nature, we have mountains and rivers and oceans and wildlife and women and men procreating to give life. Like, this is the true essence of God. It's creation and it's giving and it's love. And everything outside of that is the ego trying to keep us small and protect us, not because it's inherently evil, because we are just programmed to be in a survival mode and to protect ourselves. And whether you call this trust and faith in God or the Creator or your own inner guidance, this is an indicator that you're able to see the parts of you that are shrinking or protecting yourselves where you should be expanding and moving forward, even though you have fear, even though you have doubt or anxiety about the situation. It's the part of you that carries you forward. Like I mentioned before, if it doesn't feel resonant to talk about to God in this way, but I also don't think it would be on this Peace Lab channel if you didn't relate to some kind of higher power that's guiding us or leading us forward, then it's your own inner guidance. And that should make you feel so much peace inside, because once you really get grounded in what you believe, have respect for yourself, have acceptance of yourself, and know your needs, know your boundaries, know your desires, you are able to deliver your creation forward and believe in the path forward for yourself and believe in your purpose. And other ways that this trust in yourself shows up is by you embrace both your successes and you embrace your failures. You know that there's not really such a thing as failure, because failure or setbacks are just ways that you were learning. We shouldn't feel negative about these types of setbacks, because it's just for us to understand how we grow and how we're building. And we don't know how things are going to play out. And honestly, mistakes and challenges and setbacks are actually ways that we get closer to our truth, get closer to our direction. And it's the learning process. The most successful people in the world, multimillionaire billionaires, they always talk about how they are not focused on the failure. If something happens where it looks like a failure, they pivot. They pivot to testing the next thing, experimenting the next way. And this mindset is a mindset of abundance. They're not wasting 2 or 3 days thinking about a mistake that they made. By the time that you spent doing that from a mistake or having regret over something and being off track because of it, these other people who think differently about what failure actually is, have already experimented 5 other times and found the answer. And it just is part of this belief system that you have in yourself. And the belief system is strengthened by changing this inner dialogue that you have within and looking at things that come up like challenges or failures or mistakes in a different way, in a different lens. And if you were looking at it negatively, it's something inside of you that is wounded, that needs to change this inner dialogue because you don't feel good enough, or you think you're not capable, or are feeling insecure. And it's a chance for us to go deeper into our psyche and journal through it, or sit in meditation and pause and really assess what is not really you, what is not really your true essence, your true core authentic self. And I promise you, it's none of this negative stuff. Even if you think it is, even if you're at the place where you are getting down on yourself for feeling so much doubt, or self-sabotaging your business, or self-sabotaging your relationship and blaming yourself, the blame is actually a distraction. Like, sit with it, process it, and journal why, or write down why it's coming up for you and why you think you picked up this type of programming, and try to work through it with yourself and see where the story was picked up, what age, whether from your mom or your dad. But really, that is just you not allowing God to come through, not allowing creation to come through, and just still being stuck in your head. And being stuck in your head is not going to allow you to manifest and have an action plan. We need to get rid of this way of thinking, but the best way to do that is to get out of the mind as well and move into the body and start creating. Another way to make sure that you are practicing self-trust is if you feel emotionally whole and grounded, not scattered in doubts or fears, and you trust your decisions, you have confidence in your ability to move forward with integrity and grace. Like I said, I was experiencing this last week with Peace Lab, and I go really deep in my journals. And when I was thinking about, I think all of this doubt and this negative thinking, or this paralysis of not being able to make the next decision with Peace Lab, really comes from self-doubt. And it sucked, and I don't want my creativity to be stifled, and I don't want to be stuck in doubt. I want to be able to create and to channel inner peace ideas and next steps for the business and what have you. But what I was journaling about was this feeling of doubt actually comes from a lack of self-trust. And I was questioning myself, and I said, what does it mean to know God or the Creator? How does it relate to trusting in yourself? For me, to know God is to see ourselves fully. in all our glory and all of our light and all of our love. It's a reflection of who we are. There's a book, just pull it now, Secrets of Divine Love by A. Helwa. And it basically talks about Islam, but it basically talks about how God is always shining the light and the love onto us. But actually, what prevents us from receiving that light and that love is our own veil, our own darkness that blocks the light of the Creator, because the Creator is like the sun and it's always putting light on us, trying to give us all of the unconditional love of creation that exists. Our veil is our negative thinking, our thoughts, putting on this mask over our eyes and shutting out our ears and our eyes from receiving the truth of who we are and our wholeness. What I understood self-trust to be is when you believe in yourself and you have faith in your goals and where you are going in life and how you will manifest your idea, your desire, and what you want to create. You are getting rid of all of the garbage in between the idea and the desire and the manifestation, it being lived out and created and seen in this real life. And every single thing that is created starts from the mind, starts from an idea that comes up into some individual's head. And then the human is able to build it out and execute and have it in real life. But it always starts from the mind and always starts from an idea or desire. No matter how crazy grand, I mean, we have AI now. So just think about like nothing is beyond what the human is able to do. But what gets in the way is the belief system and the potential roadblocks and the blame or the circumstances or the environment. Like all of that is here for us to navigate, and these challenges are presented for the human to get closer and closer to creation. And it's so metaphysical and there's so many different layers to it, because each and every day we're going through transformation, and then throughout time we're going through transformation. But really, this connection to God or the Creator or to our source of light and love is happening right now. And that's why, the Buddhists and everybody is saying that in this present moment, you can have it right now in a blink of an eye. But it's just because the only time that exists is now. There's no past. The past is already done and the future is not even here yet. So all that is here is this present moment, is right now. And so when you understand that and understand that all of creation is just trying to put light and love onto you, what you realize is that the self-doubt and any of the other negative emotions that come up between you and your creation, it's just the veil over you that's trying to protect you and block you from manifesting this life or this creation that you are trying to bring into the world. And to know God or to know the Creator is to act like the characteristics and the qualities of the Creator. And what that means is, do you think the omnipresent God that is all around us, it's everything from what we see to what we feel to all of our senses to people and our relationships to them to nature to ideas manifest, everything, all of the oneness that there is, do you think God is worried about doubt or has fear or is self-sabotaging or insecure? No, all of these things are coming from your own psyche and coming from your own past and your own worry about the future. And if that is what keeps you from the goal being actualized or the desire being actualized, then isn't it our responsibility and our free will to be able to navigate that and to transcend these things that come up? And arguably, it is. I think for a majority of people, they would say that if they could get everything they've ever wanted in life, if they could live in complete harmony with themselves and in nature, they would rather get to that point. And there is something sweet about the fact that we can do it for ourselves, and that it's not anything in this external world that has to change necessarily for us to get what we dream in this life, but it's really up to us to, as much as we can, remove the veil and remove the negative thinking and remove the parts of us that are keeping us from receiving all of the light and becoming like the Creator. And the goal is that once we are like that, then all we are fully channeling is the best qualities of creation, which are you are creating and you are giving and you are receiving. And that is the best thing for me to think about, because I would rather put down this doubt. I would rather put down this fear. I would rather put down everything that comes from the mind and go, okay, if I'm to be like the creator, what I should be doing in this very moment is creating for Peace Lab, is to push Peace Lab forward. And all of the responsibility and the pressure that I feel on my shoulders to get this done, to figure out a revenue model, to figure out investors, to figure out the next plan, all of this pressure that's weighing on me is given to God, given to the creator, and all I have to do is just be a creator. It frees you so much from this mental prison that thinks that you have to do all of it. No, now I'm actually channeling this light and this creation from somewhere else that's not of the mind, it's from the body. I'm in complete flow state. And part of that is the self-trust, is the understanding that I can do it because I'm working with God. I'm working with the creator and I can do this. Of course. And if I don't have the answer up here, it doesn't matter, because God, faith is guiding you. It's not spiritually bypassing and choosing not to participate in the action. It's not about that. It's laying down the foundation, laying down the idea and saying, all I have to do now is do a little bit every single day, not from the mind. Obviously, you make a decision or you think about an idea, but you're not constantly worrying about how it's going to happen, who's going to show up, will it actually work, is this the right decision? All of this nonsense is the ego, it's the veil keeping you from the creation and being of the creator and just receiving. What I was thinking about too recently, and what gave me this idea of what it is like to actually take your idea and your desire into manifestation, into complete creation, and to see it here in the physical, was it was inspired also from a few weeks ago experiencing a little bit of lack of trust and doubt of like the next steps. And I was realizing that I was stuck in the mind and not actually taking action. I was paralyzed by decision making and anxiety, and I quickly understood that that's not how Peace Lab is going to be built. Peace Lab is going to be built from channeling all of the characteristics of the creator and just allowing myself to move through with my hands and my body and this in this flow state every single day with a plan and a foundation that I set forward, but God, the creator, is going to work behind the scenes and figure out the rest of it. Because what you sow, you reap, and you just have to have faith in that. But what you do as an individual is take accountability and responsibility for what you're laying down and how you're showing up. And it's not going to be easy. There's going to be days where the creative juices inside of you are going to feel flat, and you're not going to feel inspired, and you're not going to feel motivated anymore. But just also notice that we ebb and flow. Like, we always have to come down for a resting period, and then you cut away what needs to be changed, and then you continue, and that's okay. If you take a rest and you take a day or two off, or you take a week off even, or 2 weeks to get re-inspired, just because you do that does not mean that it's a failure or that you should feel negatively about this, because society wants us to never catch a break and a breathing moment, especially if you live in a city or you work in a corporate environment. And we're taught and programmed to just keep going and going and going, and there's not room for a 5-minute breather or a tiny break in between. But it's so necessary, and rest is essential. And rest is like what we have with the seasons. You have the winter, you have the summer and the spring and the fall, and you always have a moment of death and rebirth constantly. So if you feel uninspired or you feel a lack of motivation in the creative process and you have to rest, allow yourself to do it. And then when you come back out of that rest, cut away at the things that need to be changed. For me, I had a certain strategy for Peace Lab to work with organizations and teams with our offerings, and I came to a standstill and it wasn't really working. And in that moment, I was a little bit discouraged about the process, but I had to remind myself that it's part of the experiment, okay? I won't know what doesn't work unless I do it. And when I had to reset, I just had to iterate, change the process, and then continue on building Peace Lab. What got me stuck in that moment of pivot and that moment of iteration was the fact that the doubts came in. And that is going to kill the creative process. It's going to kill the dream. And you can't allow that to happen, because you're not acting from a place of wholeness. You were allowing your insecurity and fear and doubt from something that is not of this present moment to come in and sabotage you. And even if it does occur, it's okay. Allow it to come up and show itself so you can clear it out from your experience and clear it out from your energy. But then you continue on and you let yourself be transformed.